Please start meditation. That's all.
With great joy, we welcome all our dear brothers and sisters to the 151st birth anniversary celebrations of Puja Shri Lalaji Maharaj, a landmark event of immense inner joy and gratitude. This Bhandara is an occasion for all of us to hold in our hearts our deep gratitude and respect for the spiritual giant Puja Shri Lalaji Maharaj, because of whom we are all here today. It gives us an opportunity to offer our tribute to him by diving deep within our hearts and connecting to him through constant remembrance. These days of blessings, where divine grace pours into open and willing hearts, require of us only our state of inner preparedness and attitude. The meditation practices of heartfulness offer the possibility of a giant leap in the evolution of our consciousness. Many yearning hearts across the world are seeking true purpose and meaning in life today. In these modern times, how does the Heartfulness Way light the path on our journey to the center of our consciousness? As the world stands poised for a new awakening and a paradigm shift in consciousness, revered Daji's newest book, Spiritual Anatomy, Meditation, Chakras, and the Journey to the Center, paves the way to receive this wisdom. This book is a unique blend of the wisdom of yogic philosophy and practical techniques to unlock one's true inner potential. What is the story behind this profound book? In everything the Master does, there lies a fountain of learning on the way to live and work. I now invite Brother Uday Kumar to share with us the journey of this book, The Spiritual Anatomy.
Beloved Daaji, respected elders, dear sisters and brothers who are all here and joining us online, Namaste. And for all those of you who are visiting Kanha Shanti Vanam for the first time, very warm welcome to all of you to your home, away from home. Once Daji said that if you want to shake someone up, tell them just before meditation that they're going to give a talk afterwards. And I can tell you, if you tell them 2-3 hours before, and if the candidate is fasting, the effects are even better. But the banter aside, it gives me great joy because I'm part of a small part of a very big team of editors, designers, copywriters, line editors, all of who have been part of this journey. And I'm very grateful to Daji for allowing us to share the story behind the story. Spiritual anatomy at its core is the love story of the soul. And like any love story, we meet again to part and we part again to meet. And in that beauty, the magic of love makes the journey complete. And I stand before you here not as part of the editorial team, but more as a witness to this act of love, where we saw how pearls of wisdom came together to form this book that we call Spiritual Anatomy. And I want to take you back to the fall of 2016. It was during these times when Daji was there, and I don't want to reveal too many spoilers. So they are in the book, but the book begins with the story of the fall of 2016, where Daji talks about the evening when this process started. And I want to take you all to that place in time. This was uh, after afternoon, after a brunch. His door was closed, and it was late into the evening, and he hadn't come out. So some of us who got together tried to gather the courage to open his door, only to find that it was locked. And then somebody found the key, and after an hour or so, we opened it. And then we see Daji inside sitting. Then we asked him, Saab, kya kar rahe the? And then he put a wad of paper and he said, this is the first chapter. Right? And then those of us in the room, took it, had a look at it, and then realized, oh, he's working on a book. And the next few weeks were just the magic of witnessing, the master at work. Obviously, we were all oblivious back then, but now with the luxury of time, you get to connect the dots and you see what was at play. Because the very next day, he shared what was the structure of the book, right? And if you know a creative act, it goes through a lot of iterations, lot of rewriting and things like that. But when I look at that first table of contents to what is there in the book today, it's almost the same. And it talks to the clarity, it talks to the vision that he had of how we take this story forward, right? And then the next few days were, weeks were of periods of intense research, and he would share these insights with us, in informal conversations, in book reading sessions, because this was also, times of great joy in the ashram. This was, if I were to say, the days were like Holi and the nights were like Diwali. Very festive. He celebrated Christmas with us. We celebrated Thanksgiving together. And in the middle of all this, he would give us insights and metaphors. For example, one sister was talking about the nature of power. And he said, talking about how great it is to have power. And that's when Daji said, look, Anyone can work with power, but it takes a master to work with no power. And lines like these find their mention in the book. There was someone who asked Daji, Daji, how do we, you know, locate the chakras? How do we understand the chakras? And that's when he came up with this metaphor of longitudes and latitudes. And he said, you don't see them, but at every intersection is a place on the physical world. Like that, when we meditate, we feel the effect of these chakras on the body. So simple, so relatable, and yet so profound. And in that way, he was training us all in how to speak about the esoteric in the easiest ways. And not only that, this was also times of intense writing. Right? There were uh, at least 3 to 4 diaries of writings that he filled up with his notes that came to the editors to tie them together and things like that. And it was also during this time that the conferences were happening in North America. And in the conference in Detroit, he coined the term inventure, the inner adventure. Right now, when we look back, we read the book, you see, oh, he's used this term. But then when you connect this journey and you see how this journey came together, I think what is most important for us is to think about the attitudes, the feeling with which we read this book, and also share the message of this book with all the lovers of God. I mean, this August assembly where we have all gathered, I think it is with the singular purpose of becoming one with His vision, one with His work. And for me, the first takeaway that I want to share with all of you is one of tenacious focus. Think about it, 2016 to 2023, 7 years. How many of us have it in us to stay with the project and make sure that it comes to the level that it needs to? Because many a times people would ask Daji, many a times people would ask, when will this book come out? And he would say, look, I want this book to speak to every lover of God. No matter how little interest they have, this book should connect with them. It should inspire them, right? And through this process, as we have all seen, after 2016, he was in Paris, where he gave the message and he shared the image of the 64 points and how they map to the center. Then came the series of articles on the March to Freedom, where he brought in the idea of the wayfarer and how we can see the journey through the lens of the wayfarer. And then came, special trainings for preceptors to understand the journey. And so my takeaway from this is for us to commit with this kind of focus to the work that we are all part of. And then, of course, the second is about availability. Many of us have this question. In fact, we wonder, how does all this happen? All of us are privy to the intense demands of time of Daji, right? He's conducting sessions, doing programs, meeting with people, all of these above and beyond, and he's also with books. And I want to share with you a few examples of how availability manifests when we are fully interiorized. There would be sessions in the dark of the night where someone would read a chapter to Daji. These would be typically, idyllic evenings. He would either be on the jhula or on the bed. And there would be times when we would feel, is he listening or he's not listening? And then at those moments in those sessions, he would point out something, one precise line, one precise word that would magically change the meaning, create so much more depth. But not all settings were so serene. In one of the earlier versions in 2018, you know, I I know that he spent almost 8 to 10 days when he was traveling, and he was in his village dealing with some personal loss, and he was in the middle of so many things. But he went through those 100 pages line by line and sent the edits back to the editors. And it talks to how, when we are interiorized, we can create availability for him, for his work, and for whatever he wants to do for us. The third is about trust and teamwork. Just think about this, right? How much patience it takes for him to wait and see this project through. Many times the editors would come and they would say, okay, there are these notes of Daaji, there are these diary writings, and the task was only to stitch them together, and yet it was so complicated. And we would find ourselves out of depth almost all the times. These are very uh, esoteric concepts, but also there was this thing of making sure that his word gets represented well. And he would encourage the team all the time. And his encouragement usually was, "Tum likhte raho, aayega." We would share some draft or something. He would listen to that and he would say, "Tum likhte raho, aayega." And then there were times when he would see that the team is a little bit beaten down, and after listening to everything, he would say, "Lage raho, Munna bhai." And that would just inspire all of us. Put that version aside, start with something again. And that is the superpower of trust. In the world outside, it is said that trust is earned in drops and lost in buckets. In the world of the masters, it is the invertendo. They trust us implicitly. They trust the innate goodness of the humanity of the heart. And that's what they work with. And in case of this project, it was not only with the editorial team internally, but it was also with the external editors. Just as the book project was launched, there was a meeting, an online meeting in which Daji got together with the publisher. There was the publisher, the editor, the agent, all of them. And at a particular time in the meeting, the editor said, "Daji, what are your expectations? How would you like us to work with you?" And this is usually the time when an author lays out their request saying, "This is how I would like it, this is what I would want," and all of those. And Daji basically said, and the editor's name is Hannah. He said, "Hannah, I have done my work. Now I surrender this project to you." There was absolute silence on the call at that time because nobody expected that kind of an answer. And that trust ensured that they were so committed to the project. So many rounds, so many edits, and they stayed through with it. And so, with these key points, I just want to call out attention to one line from the book. The language of the heart is inspiration. At this moment of time, if you feel inspired, if you feel something within you moving you, compelling you, you know, to be part of this, it is not this talk or the book, it is your own heart, because that is the language of the heart. It is in these moments of inspiration that we look up to the grandeur that we are a part of. I think it was Paul Brunton in his book who wrote that on a full moon night in a pond, the fish merrily swim, thinking that the moon is with them. Only when the sun rises do they realize what they need to look up to. It is moments like these, it is assemblies like these, where we realize the grandeur of us having a living master who guides us, who talks to us, who teaches us, and all through this process inspires us. So let's carry this inspiration with us as we go out into the field, share this story, add our own little chapters to this journey of the book, because it is rare that books like these come out. And I would like to end with what Agar Pratash Sheshadri shared in the last Bandara. If not us, then who? If not now, then when? And I'd like to add, if not for this, then for what? Thank you. Namaste.
Thank you, Brother Uday. With this inspiration on how this book truly came about, it is now time to release the spiritual anatomy as part of this auspicious Bhandara. I humbly request beloved Daaji to please release the book. We have a few more books being released during this special Bhandara. We now have being released the master classes for preceptors, now available in English, Hindi, and Tamil, which is a booklet containing transcripts of the master classes for preceptors videos that we have available online. The next being released is From Human to Humane to Divine. This is a compilation of the talks given by beloved Daaji at the African, CIS, and European seminar held at Kanha Shanti Vanam from the 21st to the 23rd January 2023. After the first meditation of the seminar, Daji gave his insights on the theme, sowing the seeds of understanding and giving hints, directing the participants to work on themselves. We have now the next book for today, Science and Practice of Integrative Health and Well-Being Lifestyle by Sri Krishnamurti Jayana. This is a comprehensive guide that delves into the evolution of lifestyle medicine and the integration of traditional disciplines like yoga, meditation, and Ayurveda for enhancing health and well being. Many of us have already picked up our copy of the Spiritual Anatomy and have also started gifting this book to our near and dear ones. The Spiritual Anatomy will be truly a memorable gift for a lifetime that we can present to all those who we know. For those of us who have yet not picked up the book, kindly visit the Books and More bookstore at Kanha Shantivanam while you are here, or you may also order your copy on hfnlife.com. Beloved Daji has graciously consented to give away this book, The Spiritual Anatomy, to those of us who are willing to receive it from his hands as well. A limited number of copies will be distributed by beloved Daji after every satsang of this Bhandara. Those of us who wish to receive it from his hands may collect their tokens from the N4 satellite. The tokens for tomorrow morning's satsang distribution will be shortly made available after the session is over. a limited number of tokens for distribution of the books by beloved Daji after the satsang now. Certain number of tokens are still available. If you wish to take your copy from Daji's hands, you may visit N4 to pick up your tokens. The books will be distributed by Daji backstage at his office. Those who have received their tokens may please assemble